Hello and welcome to the Comedy Workshoppe podcast. It's all about comedians sitting around shooting the shit and working out new material. I'm your host, Jack Merrywell, and my guest today is a very funny man based out of Tulsa, Oklahoma, Jay Dee, one of my best friends in comedy coming up. We're here at the Looney Bin Comedy Club in Tulsa, which is actually the first club I ever performed in. Sitting in the showroom right now with my panelists Dan Fritchie and Trevor Carrion. So, Jay Dee, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me, man.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here. And thank you for opening your notebook up to us. And do you have a bit you'd like to throw out there first?
Yeah, I was driving here thinking about an idea, a premise. I just started to roll with it on the way over here. Unfortunately, just like the olden days, it's already just dirty. So I don't know if we... I don't know.
Just like the good old days.
I don't know if the premise is just going to be, or if the idea behind this trying to workshop this joke is going to be to try to tune it to not be so dirty, or to just fucking roll with it. So, by me saying the words "fucking," I think we already got an idea where we're going.
Let's go.
So anyway, here's the idea. Is it kind of goes along with my married stuff. So I'm just married guy. That's pretty cool. Got me thinking about my ex-girlfriend. I had to break up with her. Turned out she ended up being a little bit of a slut. So my nickname for her is Club Sandwich, because at any given time during the day, she has at least 3 different meats inside of her.
Served open face.
Right.
Usually cold.
Or even you can tag onto that, like, and all that's left in the end is crust, and she's thrown in the dumpster where she belongs. I don't know. I just feel like it was funny to me as I was driving over here, but
Sometimes
I just...
you just want to stab her with a toothpick.
Yeah, I was just saying, there's got to be a really toothpick angle.
Slathered in sauce.
Yeah. See, I don't know. It might be one of those just chunk it because it's just dirty, you know.
3 different kind of meats.
I like that, though.
What? Well, what are the kinds of meats specifically?
Well, there's going to be at least one dark one. We know that for a fact.
Yeah. It's like thicker than the rest, just a little bit.
Yeah.
A little thicker shaved.
There's hot sauce.
A little thicker unshaved.
That's good.
3 different types of shaved meats.
Just a little thicker cut.
Thick cut.
Sometimes you got to buy your meat from the inner city.
No, that's racist. I was talking about roast
It
beef.
was a little bit.
I mean, I always think about either leaving it at the like the different kinds of meat, or do like the rule of 3, where say like 3 different kinds of meat inside of her, at least 2 vegetables and slathered mayonnaise or whatever, something to where it has like the rule of 3 to kind of make it flow a little better. But
Slathered in special sauce. Special sauce. That could almost be... Like, if that third one doesn't hit, you just tap the microphone. Tunk, tunk. Special sauce.
Right.
Special sauce, faggots. That's how I talk to my crowds.
Right.
Cold bags. It's full. It's cool.
I need to explain the audience principle to you again. If you
do
insult
this.
and berate them, then you have no audience.
I'll do this set of the ACLU. We'll be all right. I actually performed at the ACLU once.
Really?
And I walked a couple of Native Americans during the set. During my
Jeep Cherokee joke.
That's the joke. And it's funny, of all things that aren't like not offensive, like they were like, that is enough, and they took off. It was the weirdest fucking thing ever at an ACLU show. In Oklahoma City.
Championing everyone's rights except for your right to make a joke about an engine knock.
Yeah, I mean they're Native Americans. So who are they going to tell? Like fucking 2 other Native Americans? Come on, right? Too soon. We're in Oklahoma. All right, never mind. Let's move forward.
Well,
And to be honest, it's really a total of 5/64.
Damn you! I was gonna.
Try being mistaken for Native American all the time, but not getting free health care.
Well,
I have tried. It doesn't work.
Well, that's the part of the thing I used to say about Jay Dee is go like, I don't know how your parents mixed Irish and Cherokee and got Latin.
they mixed Irish and Cherokee, and they got trash. So that's pretty much it. It's a formula. It works.
No,
every
the
time.
Indian thing here is weird because when they thought I was Indian when I moved to Oklahoma, everything was fine. As soon as they found out I was Hispanic, things got way different, way quick.
Everybody check your purse. Everybody check your purse.
What would you be?
Meanwhile, I'm German to be going like, check your fillings.
What would you be in that sandwich? That middle piece of bread that nobody likes. It's there for no reason.
Jeez, I feel like this took a really weird, dark turn just now.
A little too much yeast.
It's always kind of soggy and sad.
You gotta cut off the crust. That's another direction to go with that joke, by the way.
Symbolic of my spine.
Just God, there's so
a lot
many
of sandwich
different
metaphors.
angles when it comes to sandwiches. I mean, there's a
Right.
Well, there's right down the middle, and then there's the kitty corner.
She was supposed to make me a sandwich, but
Cut all
somebody
the
made
crusts
her
off.
one.
well, that's the thing is like crust, yeast. I mean, there's so many
Between the buns. Yeah.
between the
Word buns.
the three different types of meat
Well,
between
here's
her buns.
the kind of concern is like, I want it to be presentable in a way where it doesn't have to be dirty. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So even though all the dirty ones are just fucking hilarious, I'm trying to not have to rely on it being a dirty joke.
But that's part of the beauty of jokes like that is that you just throw it out there, and if the audience
innuendo,
makes the
yes.
dirty connection, it's all their fault.
That's true. That's true. So we can innuendo it all we
Yeah.
want.
Innuendo that motherfucker home.
That should be a T-shirt. Innuendo, motherfuckers.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, it works
I had
that way
a-
because with three different meats, you're not necessarily saying anything bad. There's a connection there.
Yeah.
It's good though.
By the way, just to cap this off, I had a friend in college who anytime anyone would say the word innuendo, she'd just be like, innuendo. It was pretty sweet.
Were you hanging out on the set of The Office?
Indeed.
Okay.
So I'll
So
play the
what-
games until it's in your endo.
All right, so I think we'll go ahead and move on. You got another joke to throw out, JD?
That's interesting. I mean, I do. Is the idea really that we're just gonna like maybe? You want me to do all of my business, like as far as another premise here or whatever, and then we'll move to each person?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
But there'll be different episodes, so that question will really not make sense in the edit.
Right.
Really, my first recording session, we had a bunch of callbacks and shit, and I was like, fuck, you're fucking up my production schedule now. I don't know when these are coming out.
This.
That'll make people look for the other episodes, dude. That's
Well, fair enough. Fair enough.
I like this idea.
synergy, man.
This one, this is a tough one. This just part of this premise came to me, and it was fun. And I was in the green room of a comedy club last week, and I was looking in the mirror, and I was rehearsing this thing to debut it for the first time for the show, and I was feeling good about it. And it's somewhat wordy. And then I got out there on stage, and I saw a bunch of fucking hillbilly rednecks out there with mullets and NASCAR jackets, and I said, not tonight. So this one's almost ready, but there's like visuals related to it that aren't going to come across in the podcast.
Throw it out there. We'll see what we can do with it.
So, well, damn, I'll do it from right here at this table, so you can kind of at least get
I'll
the
narrate
idea.
it. JD
That's-
stands.
JD.
I can do it in the voice of Morgan Freeman if you'd like.
Right.
Very impressive.
See, that's what's weird here, because I feel like I'm supposed to have a microphone in my hand, because how I rehearsed this thing the whole time was like me looking in the mirror and the inflections in the voice and like how I'm doing everything. So we'll just cut to the chase. This goes in my like TV related bit, like watching TV. I was watching a thing on the Titanic the other day, and I just think it's kind of bullshit. There's from what I understand, there is like the women and children got off first, and then you had the band. And the band, they didn't even get off the boat. They allegedly like played all the way down as they're sinking. And I feel like if I'm like baller enough to be in a band on the Titanic, like there's pretty good odds I have fucked before. So like I don't know, I would just probably not feel bad about like stiff arming Heisman post some kid like, watch out kid, I got some pussy waiting for me on the mainland. Like that's it really.
I'm successful. What have you done with your life, kid?
We're gonna play with some fucking wooden toys.
Gotta learn how to swim eventually.
But so it's not all there yet, and that's just the concept right now, and that's as far as I've gotten with it. And part of it is the visual, like stiff arming a kid, then walking over him. You know, I've got some pussy waiting for me on the mainland.
Here, this violin floats really well. Just hold on to it.
I have a tuba.
Tuba in that hand. You fuck up one end. If you're gonna be playing music on a ship, you really should play an instrument that can act as its own flotation device. Just like upright bass, maybe a tuba.
Guy that played the
You
triangle.
get the bell down, the bell side down. You probably get enough
air in there.
Yeah.
Baritone's more questionable.
But I don't know. Yeah, if you work on that, I think you might actually the whole Heisman thing. I could imagine you doing that. If you do that early on in a set, you could do a callback to that. Is that if you're somewhere else, you're in public and you're just
Do the Heisman pose.
do the Heisman pose. Out of my way, kid.
Yeah.
I like the idea of that, though, because it's not a Titanic joke of, obviously two people could have fit on that door. You're as a band member. That's a unique perspective of it. There's something there.
Well, I like the idea as if it fails, which I fully expect it to. I'm gonna be like, what, too soon, bitches? And then they'll always move forward.
It may be
Titanic sinking too
It
soon.
may be the first time in history somebody has gotten out of a situation by saying, "I'm with the band."
Nice.
With the band.
That's really funny.
Going down, fucker.
Like my mom in a trailer park.
Fails. Look like that joke hit an iceberg.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that the other day. Like, how did they not see a fucking iceberg? It
Actually,
seems like that would be pretty big.
if I may put on my nerd glasses, I actually read this, that the reason why they didn't have binoculars or anything like that is because one of the first officers was relieved of duty before the ship took off, and all of the binoculars were in his locker, and he took the key with him.
That ship was meant to go. There was not enough life rafts. That guy left.
Yeah, but if that guy hadn't been vindictive and walked away with the key to the binocular clocker, they would have actually seen the iceberg.
Binocular clocker.
Well,
Binocular.
and also,
yeah.
apparently the ship itself was not terminally damaged by the iceberg strike. Had they cut the engines and waited for a tow, they'd have made it to New York. But the captain was convinced it was unsinkable and went full speed ahead to try to make it to New York.
Which was causing more water to
flow.
flow.
More wide open.
Wow.
So a lot of fuck ups.
Titanic couldn't sink.
I love how we're just getting further and further away from
Everything Jason's joke. We're just gonna analyze the sinking of the Titanic.
I think it makes the podcast more interesting because I didn't know these things, so it's very interesting.
Yeah.
Such a weird story.
I don't know why I know shit like that. I don't know where I learned this shit. It just, I think I'm just destined to be on Jeopardy someday. I don't know.
Well, is there another premise you want to throw out, JD?
Those I thought we were only doing 2 or something.
Oh
so
yeah, that's fine.
all I was really
we can wrap this bad boy up.
prepared for.
So-
Here's one simple one, and this is I have so many premises jotted down. Because I can't write fully grown jokes, apparently. So
Join the club.
that's where we're at. And this is going to start with a very basic. So those other ones I had, they were essentially jokes that could just be tuned probably or something. But this one is just premise level. You know that show How It's Made, where they're here's how you make CDs, here's how you make chairs. I was thinking the idea of the one episode that like you don't really want to watch. It's How It's Made, Babies.
I was gonna say I was actually had love cocked. Just how it's made. Love.
The announcer is just reading the script through tears.
Right.
Come back to me, Cheryl.
But and then it's not even like it it'd be funny if you did that with that first punchline, how it's made, babies, but then it's just a really in-depth, like, analysis of how a zygote forms biologically.
But still, but
Not
but
dirty
still-
at all.
But
Right.
But have all that with a porn soundtrack behind
Yeah, because they have that porn.
it. Yeah. When a man and a woman love each other very much,
I
or
think
when
it's-
slow gin and a Trans Am are involved.
Right. I think it sounds good, like as a sketch or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Trying to get into stand-up, or even just a bit anyway. It's a little. I mean, it just could be a one-liner, just like that. I don't really know. Talking about I guess I'm talking about watching TV anyway.
But what else would you not want to see a How It's Made episode of? There has to be something.
I don't know. My roommates have been addicted to that show lately, and I don't know. I've been reminded of there's a Kyle Kinane bit where he's talking about that show, and he's going like that show's fucking me up because it makes me think I could actually do some of these things. Like I'll be at a job interviews going like, you know how to use Microsoft Works, Microsoft Word, Excel, spreadsheets and stuff like that. No, but I can build an English leather saddle from scratch.
Yeah, all How It's Made shows me is how quickly humans are being replaced. It's all machines that they show you on How It's Made. There's not a single brown person making anything in any of those companies.
Maybe that's how we should do that, like the How It's Made, just a bunch of like a robotic dick going into the job.
Here it is, slowed
Yeah.
down.
The two previous How It's Made on that episodes is like the dildo and the fleshlight factory, and
Right.
that's how you make babies.
Right. It could just be something for teenage boys to jerk off during or something. The episode of How It's Made, babies.
I tried to watch this TV episode, but my TV came. I'm not really sure.
Well, it's just one angle you could take with that is eventually they're going to run out of the regular things to like so they'll have like
How
how
it's-
it's made, babies,
Crystal meth.
crystal meth, opium.
Well, and in fairness, they got regular products, and then they got the second line of defense, which is all the machines that are used to press the shit in their episodes, and then they gotta go to babies.
Today on how it's made.
Remember that machine from episode 2?
The machines used to make the items from last week's episode.
It's just this eternal fucking until it,
The following week. This week, factories.
how it's made. And then babies is the ultimate one because it gets to factory workers.
Right.
The
So it's
final
closet or
episode. Today on How It's Made. An episode of How It's Made.
How It's Made, How It's Made.
How it's made is made.
I think it's a Canadian show. There's something there too. But I don't know what. Canadians
That was
inherently funny.
Oh.
Which it just shows how curious Canadians are. Hey, what's all this, eh? Well, I'll just make a TV show for you.
Well, thank you. It's the most polite description of the world.
You want to drink some Molson Ice and listen to Rush?
The answer's always no.
Absolutely not. All right. Well, I think it's just about time to wrap up. So, JD, thank you for being here.
Yeah, are we going to shake hands?
We're
for
gonna
real?
shake hands on this motherfucker right here.
Remember that sketch we did where we're supposed to shake hands?
God, what happened? Okay. Well, I'll tell this story to close the podcast.
Okay.
JD and I were on the worst sketch comedy show of all time, and in one sketch, it was called the interview.
Yeah, that's right.
And
The
I
Job.
was
The
the
Job.
job,
Yeah.
and I was interviewing for a job with Jay Dee as the potential boss, and basically the premise of the sketch is it's smash cuts from me talking into a camera to JD talking to camera to give the effect that we're talking to each other across the desk
Because budget was low.
because budget was terrible, and
You couldn't move the camera
No.
back for a static 2 shot?
It was green screen, actually.
Oh,
Green
okay,
screen,
okay.
yeah.
and the joke of the sketch, which was pathetic.
Thanks, I came up with that. So. Remember that time where I left a podcast in the middle of talking with you guys? Said fuck our friendship? Remember that?
I assumed it was those terrible writers that we had. So my apologies to Jay Dee. But anyway,
You should workshop that bit, I guess. That after the sketch. Go ahead.
But at any rate, the premise of the sketch, which was indeed pathetic, was
Good job. Don't back down.
was that it would be very innuendo laced, as if I was interviewing to give him a blowjob, and at one point they decided I needed to be eating something rather suggestive, so they gave me a banana. And I was unpeeling it as I did my dialogue. And put them.
And he hates bananas, by the way.
I hate bananas. I can't stand them. But here's the great part about
That's why
that.
you hate this sketch.
I fucked up dialogue on one of the takes, and they only had one banana, so they had me re-zip the banana and kind of hold it together. And like as I'm pulling it apart, it's got a bite taken out of it already. And then finally they're like, "Fuck, can we get him like a sucker or something?" I think they found me like a Tootsie Pop or some shit.
Banana flavored, ironically.
Right. And then the last scene in the sketch is I suggestively go under the table because JD's told me I got the job. But then the turn is the job I had been interviewing for is polishing his shoes. But the way they indicated that was to just switch to a JPEG of a pair of shoes.
Yeah. Shitty ones, too.
Really bad.
This is almost like a Wes Anderson movie in a way.
Couldn't afford another banana.
But at any rate,
Still.
It's like 10 cents.
But at any rate, when I sat down, we were supposed to shake hands. And the way we were going to do that is, as I sat down, I extended my hand for a handshake
Towards the camera.
towards the camera. And then when they had JD shoot his lines, he was going to accept the handshake. And that was how it was going to fit together. But then they forgot. Or did you actually do it? Did they shoot you accepting the handshake?
They did, but they didn't.
Oh, well, in the final edit, they cut out JD receiving the handshake. So I just kind of sit down, and then JD's sitting there, arms crossed. So you're here for the job.
Right.
But in 3D, it's going to look amazing.
And I remember, the other thing I will say about that one is I remember, I don't know what it was, but I think the sketch was we were in a board meeting, and we were pitching the idea of, like, selling marijuana through major
I didn't write this
pharmaceutical
one, so we're going to say that one's shit, right?
Oh, it was awesome. No, I'm just kidding. It was worse.
I'm out of here.
No, don't get me wrong. Your sketch idea was pathetic, but it was the best one they had.
The best pathetic that you could get, so.
It was the best thing that fucking show ever put out.
Tallest midgets in here.
But I remember, like, when I was first starting out comedy, I was very Hedberg oriented. You know, all my jokes were like, "Hey man, what's going on?"
Right.
And I had the long hair down to my shoulders, and I had like
You were always wearing a Hedberg shirt.
I was always wearing a Hedberg shirt. I had that olive drab military jacket, and I had little John Lennon sunglasses.
Yes.
Yep.
And the guy got me to be like the pot emissary. And so I just sat there with my little John Lennon glasses on, and I did my lines in the Hedberg voice, like, "Hey man, I was talking to the Secretary of State the other day," and but then in the edit, they put in this like Photoshop effect of what was supposed to be pot smoke around me, but which really just looked like live action stink lines.
You're like the kid from Peanuts, right?
Yeah. It was fucking Pigpen all over, man. It was fucking horrible. Jesus. God, we could do a...
I have those DVDs, by the way. I have them.
You know what? They gave me my copy of the Masters or whatever it was, and I smashed them and put them in different trash cans. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to sign off on JD's episode of the Comedy Workshop. JD, thank you for being here and opening up your notebooks to us.
Thank you.
Oh, he fucking took the handshake back. It's just like old times. Goodbye and good night. Or good night. It's nighttime when you're
Peace,
listening to
bitches.
this. I know it.